So everybody in sports America is talking about this Peyton Manning story. If you haven't heard, let me kind of give you a little bit of background on it if you're unfamiliar with the story, which I'm sure you're not, but I'm going to do it anyway. This is from the Tennessean newspaper. A sweeping lawsuit filed by 6 former female students against the University of Tennessee last week argues its athletic department has long condoned a hostile sexual environment stretching back to the mid-1990s, citing nearly a dozen instances of former student athletes accused of sexual assault, including NFL star Peyton Manning. The allegation that Manning sexually assaulted a female athletics trainer while in college was first reported in 2003, but on Saturday, a widely shared New York Daily News column about the alleged incident and a subsequent lawsuit filed by the trainer drew widespread attention on social media. Manning, now with the Denver Broncos, just won his second Super Bowl to potentially cap what has been one of the most prolific careers for a quarterback in NFL history. Speculation is that he will soon retire. The UT lawsuit filed last week calls out alleged 1996 incident in which Manning, a UT football player, was accused of placing his naked genitals on the face of a female trainer while she was examining him. Manning has denied the allegations. All right, you got to remember that, and said he was mooning a fellow athlete. The trainer, Dr. Jamie Norwright, later sued Manning after he described her in a book as a vulgar-mouthed. All right, so the guy that wrote this article for the New York Daily News, his name is Sean King, and he's actually a civil rights activist, he's also a minister here in the Atlanta area. And this actual document that he received is 74 pages long. So it's very, very long and it's very, very explicit. And what it is, in effect, it's a brief in opposition to the Manning's motion for a summary judgment. So back during this whole investigation and through this court proceedings, basically this is a document from the lawyers of Miss Norwright giving the details of it. So what happened was Peyton Manning's attorneys were trying to get the case, in effect, completed and done with, as opposed to going through the normal process of a full-length trial, and thus brief in opposition to the Manning motion for a summary judgment. Now, this is coming from Ms. Norwright's attorneys once again, so a lot of people are saying that the document is kind of biased because it kind of slants towards Ms. Norwright. Couple of things, and I'm not going to stay on this very long. A couple of things that are alarming to me about this, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. This happened back in 1996. So you got to remember that social media wasn't what it is now, or back then as to what it is now. Much different. So these types of stories get big real fast this day and time in 2016 in comparison to what they would have back in 1996. 3 points I want to throw out at you that are very disturbing and alarming to me. Number one, I think that the writer Sean King, and a lot of people are like, well, why is this even coming up now? First of all, it is because of the suit filed last week. That's one thing. But I think what Sean King is trying to show in his article in the New York Daily News is the disparaging differences between how the media reports stories on black athletes as compared to their white counterparts. And obviously, you know what's going on. I mean, the Super Bowl just finished this past week. Over the last couple of weeks, a lot of controversy about Cam Newton and him not being a guy that respects his opponents. When after the Super Bowl, he didn't want to shake hands, allegedly, when really that's not the case. But there's a photo of Cam Newton congratulating Peyton Manning and Cam Newton not answering the media's questions and sportsmanship, and he's a bad guy and he's dancing and all this, that, and the other. So I think what Sean King is trying to show is the differences in the way that the story is being reported about Cam Newton in its whole, because you still got people today talking about Cam Newton and stealing a computer at the University of Florida, when actually that wasn't the case, and all of his inadequacies as a person. But this really, really big story about Peyton Manning, for the most part, hadn't been talked about at all. Once again, it is a different day and time. The media is much bigger. It's much more of a machine today in 2016. But the most alarming thing, the second thing that I wanted to point out, in my opinion, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show, the second most alarming thing about this story, to me, is about what happened and what was revealed in pages 18 and 19 of this story, of the legal documents found out of the Polk County courthouse. Basically, on pages 18 and 19, the head trainer at the time, Mr. Rollo, basically told Miss Norright, Dr. Jamie Norright, to make up a story, change the person that was involved, whereas she was making these statements about Peyton Manning and he had put his genitals in her face. This head trainer, Miss Norright explains, tried to get her to change her story so that it would reflect just an arbitrary black player on the Tennessee football team. Yes, you heard what I said. This is back in 1996. This trainer, in effect, she testified in this document, in this brief in opposition, that Mr. Rollo, which once again is kind of like the head trainer the way the story reads, tried to get her to change her story and take Peyton Manning's name out of it and just insert any black guy on the football team at that time. Very, very disturbing, very alarming. And the third thing about this story, and this is kind of a personal thing, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show, it's amazing. It's amazing how the media works. Yesterday when this story came out, I tried to post it, a link to the story on the New York Daily News, to my social media 15 or 20 times, and I wasn't able to do it. So I'm thinking at some point, I, Doug Stewart, host of the Doug Stewart Show, have become blacklisted. And that's freaking scary. That's freaking scary. Listen, all I do is talk about the news and report the news. Take me off your blacklist, Facebook. Yeah, Facebook, in effect, has censored me to some degree. I don't know why. I tried to post a story. I kept getting this message saying that I couldn't post it. Then at some point I said, well, let me try something else. I tried to post another story, and I was able to do it. Continue to try to post the Facebook story or the story on this whole controversy, and I was not able to do it up until this morning when I tried to do it again. I still was not able to do it. So, very scary, very interesting. You're listening to the Doug Stewart Show.